Hello. Like most children of the proletariat turned bourgeoisie, I was fortunate enough to be raised with a washer and a dryer in my childhood home. And then when I scampered off to college, my dorm room also had a laundry, where I learned you have exactly 2 minutes after your cycle is finished before somebody leaves your clothes in a wet pile on the floor. My first apartment also had a free laundry, and then my second did, as did my third, and I'm pretty sure my fourth as well. And then I moved into the place where I live now, and I was cursed. Destined to spend my days desperately wandering the streets of my city, calling out, "Quarters! Quarters! My $1 bill for 4 quarters!" By now, most of you are probably used to seeing signs like these posted around your city, and like myself, at some point you were probably wondering, where the f are all the quarters? Let's go back in time, to the good old days. 2019, when the quarters flowed like wine at Jennifer Coolidge's house. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the end of that year, we had a pretty bad little global pandemic to deal with. And amongst other things, it caused some pretty significant issues for the coin market.
New way the virus is affecting our life. Now it's a shortage of coins.
Causes a nationwide coin shortage.
Now it's coins, as in quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies. You probably didn't see this coming.
As you can probably imagine, with people staying home, there was just overall less demand for cash. Also, people didn't know how COVID spread at the time, so exchanging cash with a stranger felt a little bit like wiping germs on a piece of paper and trading it for a cheeseburger. Plus, most places were only accepting online orders and delivery anyway, and most of that is done on the apps, so people just paid online. But not everybody could. Apparently, there are at least 30 million bankless or underbanked households in America. Plus, there's a large amount of businesses who operate on cash-only margins. So what ended up happening was that people who had coins but didn't need them left them in their cup holders and empty water cooler jugs. And people who needed quarters but didn't have them started hoarding them like Twitch streamers do pizza boxes. So by the summer of 2020, we were seeing a full-on coin run. I mean, banks were literally buying coins back from people. Here's a quote from Jack Riddle, president of Community Bank and the brother of Voldemort. "We were told our orders would be substantially shorted, but we never anticipated such a drastic decrease," he said. "I've never seen anything like this before. People are not going out as much and not using much cash. Debit card use has increased dramatically." Things got so bad for the Fed that they convened a US coin task force, a crack team of some of the biggest names in coinage. You're talking the American Bankers Association, which has JP Morgan and BOA, National Armored Carrier Association, the guys with the guns, Brinks and Loomis, retailers like Target and Walmart, plus the biggest name in coins. That's right, they got him. Coinstar. In every single grocery store. Together, they pulled off the biggest coin heist this nation has ever seen. Except it's kind of like the opposite of a coin heist. It's not a heist at all. And plus, they still haven't done it yet. I mean, they've done some stuff, but, you know. Turns out that the Mint makes these annual reports that detail all of that year's changes. According to the 2020 annual report, the overall production went up from 2019 to 2020 by roughly 24.2%, or like a quarter.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
After the Treasury approved a $1.2 billion budget increase, Mint starting a record-breaking production run of $11 billion a month during the last 6 months of 2020. They were popping them out faster than Nick Cannon's fleet of baby mamas. But it turns out the production might not be the problem. I remember even before the pandemic, there was talk of like getting rid of coins altogether, or at least the penny. I'm pretty sure Canada did it. And like Americans, we don't use Lincolns, other than throwing them on the ground and subsequently picking them back up for good luck. Plus, it turns out that we lose money making pennies and nickels, so, you know, nix 'em. Nix 'em like Nixon. What? Oh, we should put Nixon on the penny and then get rid of them. I don't even remember the last time I saw a nickel. I don't know who has nickels? The only time I interact with a nickel is when I pick it up thinking it's a quarter, realize it's not, and then throw it on the ground to ruin somebody else's day. I went back to 2018 report, and I found that the overall production of coins had actually been down since 2016, but the driving factor for that was largely the lack of demand in pennies. What was interesting was also a dip in production around 2008 to 2014, thanks Obama. But actually though, at the time, the economy was recovering from the recession, and in response, the mint decided to cut production from $10 billion to $3 billion in coins. Now, the way this works is that the Federal Reserve approves a certain amount of money to be minted, which is then passed through the Federal Reserve Bank, and from there, the money is passed from banks to businesses to consumers in what's known as the menage a trois of finance. It takes time for the coins to actually circulate around the country. I mean, rarely are the coins that you get at the bank, for example, freshly minted that very year. So the ramp up from the 2008 recession caused an overall lack of coins, or at least less coins are moving around than would have been had production not slowed under Obama. Back to 2020 and COVID.
Everybody cough in my face!
I think the Fed had this idea that the pandemic would be ramping down at the end of 2020 and that coins would just slowly come back, but unfortunately, that's not what happened. And by then, a significant amount of damage had already been done. I mean, according to this, the velocity of M1 took a big dive in 2020. And for you econ dummies out there who don't know what that means, it means the velocity of money is the rate at which money is exchanged. So basically, money was moving around real slowly. And I think even though the Fed was able to increase the production of coins, the overall population became accustomed to the quality of life changes that occurred during the pandemic. I mean, people were ordering online more, a lot of businesses moved away from the cash-only model, and the use of services like Apple and Google Pay became more widespread. So it's not so much that there aren't enough quarters to go around, it's that most people aren't using quarters. So those of us who need them are having a hard time actually finding them. It's as if the effective rate of circulation is lower than the capacity for circulation. I'm sure there is a fancy term like M1 velocity to explain that, but I'm not an econ nerd. So because of this, the Fed says that it's apprehensive to increase the production of coins any further, which, makes sense to me. But this also points to a shift in consumer behavior, like with coins failing to complete a single circulation and either becoming discarded or forgotten by most people. So what that means is banks don't have a surplus of quarters. Businesses are struggling to hold on to the quarters that they have, and a few consumers are left scrambling around looking for quarters at every establishment they can find. Hence, places like laundromats and arcades putting up signs like these. So where does that leave us today in 2022? Well, because of the modernization of a lot of services, the average consumer is less and less incentivized to use cash. I mean, why would you? Coins are bulky, cash is nasty, and it gets damaged. And other than being a convenient straw for cocaine, there really isn't any benefit for cash over credit. It's not advice. That's a joke. That's a joke. I don't use cocaine. Joke. It's a joke. I use legal amphetamines. Without the consumer being the driving force behind circulation, the Fed will essentially just be feeding coins through banks and businesses until they end up lost to the worlds. So this is essentially a class issue. It's caused from a direct change in consumer spending habits at the top and the middle, and like most things, it disproportionately affects people at the bottom. Which makes sense, don't it? I mean, if I can't afford a washer and a dryer, I will have to go to the laundromat, which is more than likely going to require coins. I mean, if I live in a lower income housing unit, the building is likely going to have coin laundry. And in general, the poor are more likely to use cash and to be unbanked. So what we have is a situation in which coins are being passed around and around between consumers and banks and businesses like water in a lazy river. But then somebody attaches an empty pool to the lazy river. So as the water moves around, some of it ends up in the pool and it just sits there until eventually there isn't nearly as much water in the lazy river anymore, and you end up scraping your ass against the pavement asking strangers at the grocery store if you can trade spare change. Okay, that analogy got away from me a little bit at the end there, but I think you get the idea. The issue can't really be solved by the Federal Reserve. Like, even if they increase the coin production by another 24%, it could take years for those coins to get into the hands of the people who actually need them. And in the end, most of those coins would end up in a piggy bank or on the floor of a frat house. Now that we're at the end of 2022, the question is there still a shortage? Well, this article says no, but their reasoning is that the Fed stopped capping orders and production is at a full capacity, which really isn't a full answer. I mean, technically, there might not be a shortage of coins in existence, but there is an imbalance, to use the government's words, in where the coins are at the moment. So in a lived experience, aka mine, there very much still is a shortage, thank you. I have to bounce around between grocery stores and bank branches trying to get quarters at least once a month, and I know other people have the same experience. I mean, truthfully, I don't think the coin shortage will end until either the middle class starts using coins again, or we just ditch coins altogether. Personally, I think it's going to be the latter. I mean, Americans aren't exactly known for voluntarily giving up comforts to help the poor. You know, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but I don't think coins are ever going to come back. I mean, at least not like how they were. My prediction is that we'll lose the penny and the nickel pretty easily, and then the dime, because, like, why not? And then we'll have the quarter, which will be like the last remaining remnant of a form of currency that has existed for 3,000 years. Or, okay, it's not going to go away in the entire world, so at least the last American remnant. I mean, what we have here with the coin shortage is, an ongoing example of the underprivileged being left behind in the favor of technology and ease of use. So, if you're like me and you need quarters, good luck to you, brave warrior. I wish you well on your hunt. If you don't need quarters, well then please consider doing a roundup of all the spare change in your place. Take it to a bank or a Coinstar, maybe. Help us get those coins rolling again. Seriously, I am begging you, please, please. That brings us to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, you either liked it, so, give me a like, or you hated it, so give me a dislike. And then go in the comments and tell me why you hated it. And then subscribe so that you can come back and hate watch again. Who doesn't love to hate watch? We all love hate watching. I'm hate watching this right now while I'm editing. I know it's been a month since my last video. I'm so sorry. I actually made a video and I was editing it and I just didn't like it, so I scrapped it and started this one. But obviously things have changed and my plan is to make 2 videos a month for the next year. I swear they're coming. Thank you so much to all my new subscribers. There's only 58 of you guys, but we're a tight-knit crew, okay? This pirate ship, we're a tight-knit crew, all right? Nothing's in place. Everything's all over the place. Everyone has scurvy. We're trying to figure it out, but God, we're tight-knit. I'll see you guys next time, all right? I appreciate you. Bye!
I wish that you can.
I wish that you had a conscience. I wish that you cared. Baby, if I'm being honest, when I'm with